Hello there. My name is Ken, but my friends call me Hucklefaery, and I hope that we can be friends and that you'll call me Hucklefaery. Lord knows, we both know we can be called a lot worse, right? But I'm here to tell you it's going to get a lot better. I was born in San Antonio, Texas in 1965. I was born queer, sissified, even girly. I know it can be tough being different, especially when so many other people are trying so hard to fit into the lie that society is feeding us. But just know this, those people that you think are doing so well, those people that are picking on you and punching you, they're going to wake up one day and realize their whole life has been a lie. And that's why they're so eager to live in fear. That's why they're so filled with hate, because they don't want anyone special doing anything different that they're not able to do. And that's the irony of it. Because you are different, you're blessed. You're going to know freedom that those folks will never know. You're going to see things that they can't even imagine, and you're going to do things that they can't even dream of, because it's your birthright. That's what being queer is. You're a new kind of adventurer. The unfortunate thing is you're just stuck in a dark time right now, but this dark time will pass. My mom and dad separated early in my life, and my mom moved around quite a lot. She was constantly seeking herself and gainful employment. I remember moving to Crystal City, Texas, a place not necessarily known for its tolerance, historically. I'll let you look that up in your history books. Give you a hint, migrant workers. But I was attending third grade in Crystal City, Texas, and it had become obvious that I couldn't really join the other kids in their reindeer games at recess because I was, I'm not going to call it bullying. I'm going to call it what it is. Because I was verbally and physically assaulted by my classmates. Anywho, I had one teacher who took pity on me. Let's call it compassion, for lack of a better word, out of our own generosity. And she allowed me, the opportunity to do special credit, to earn extra credit by reading books during recess. This kept me safe. I remember one particular day, I was reading Call of the Wild, a rather butch book I might add. But I couldn't really read. We were both sitting there in silence, the teacher and I, as my classmates literally skipped around the school singing, "Kenneth is a sissy, Kenneth is a faggot." I remember their words to this day, but they no longer sting. Oddly enough, I even take a little bit of pride in some of those words. But what I want to talk about is the lack of responsibility on the adults' part. No one did anything. I think, one, they were afraid. Two, they thought it might help me. They thought it might butch me up. It might change me. It didn't. And they weren't the only ones that tried to change me. I remember in high school, even before high school, I remember being keenly aware that I moved differently, that I was different. I began to fear being targeted because of those traits, the physical traits. I made sure that I never crossed my legs in a feminine way, that I would try to change my voice. I remember in high school even studying myself in the mirror and trying to puff my arms up. How those jocks, like their delts or something, are so big that they can't even put their arms down at their side. Well, it was ridiculous because the more I tried to hide and the more I tried to change myself, the more miserable I became because I realized it was a lie. But I had no one to really value me, to point to me and say, you know what, you're divine, you're exceptional, you're brilliant, and you're unique. And that's what I want to tell you. The world has never seen anything like you before, and it never will again. This is our one opportunity to get to know you, to discover gifts that you don't even know that you have yet. And you do have them. I promise. And they're there. They're just waiting for an opportunity to be realized and discovered. And there's like 10 million of us out here waiting to help you discover them. So we just got to get through this dark time. Another thing I remember about South Texas is the night sky. Big sky in South Texas. Riddled with stars. We lived on a farm, so there wasn't a lot of city lights, so there was lots of stars. And I remember I would seek satellites in the sky, but I think really what I was looking for was UFOs. I wanted something to come down and take me away from this nightmare. I didn't even I didn't even really mind the threat of alien experiments, anything to save me from going to school one more day. Eventually, I was to meet my alien savior in myself, looking right back at me in the mirror. And the irony is it was the very grace and queerness that had set me apart earlier in my life. It would enable me to be a championship diver. It would enable me to receive scholarships in both diving and dance. And it would allow me to see the world. It would allow me to live in Paris, France. It would allow me to dance before the Queen of England. Now I live in New York City. I have a great apartment and I'm surrounded by friends that are exceptional. You will too. You just have to make it through this dark time. So as you're standing there looking up at that same night sky that I used to look up at, you remember that goofy guy in New York City on YouTube telling you how special you are? Well, I want you to remember him, and I want you to look at those stars, and I want you to see 10 million people, 10 million queer ancestors winking back at you, letting you know that we know you're special, and you're going to get through this. You're strong enough. You're stronger than you know, and it gets so much better. Also know that once you break free of this hell you currently find yourself in, if you do a little research, you'll find a myriad of queer history. We're not really offered queer history in this country because of obvious reasons. But let me tell you, it exists, and it's rich and it's varied. You might discover the Lakota Sioux here, the Native American tribes in the United States. You might even discover Inuit tribes in Canada. These tribes actually revered their queer people. Inuit parents would actually pray to receive queer children because they were thought to be special, blessed, and powerful. And one of the ways that they described their queer children, well, think of it as this. If a mountain is the masculine and the wind is the feminine, right? Well, we know the wind carves the mountain over time. And we know the mountain shapes the wind. But where those two touch, that's the nature of the third. That's us. That's where we queer live. So it's not that we're misshapen or misborn. We're actually closer to the divine. We're higher up on the evolutionary scale. We're the vanguards of our society. You are the vanguard of your society. You will be. Just give yourself the chance. But first we have to survive. And sometimes words aren't enough to hold on to. So I want to try to give you something a little more solid to hold on to. I want you to find a rock, a penny, a paper clip, a pin cap, a necklace, something that feels right and has meaning to you. And I want you to hold it in the palm of your hand. And I want you to remember that goofy guy in New York City telling you how special you are and talking about the mountains and the wind. And I want you to take a moment and I want you to remember that you are special, that you are divine, that you are powerful, and that you are going to do things that others can't even dream of. And I want you to hold that with you. And when you feel alone, I want you to grab onto it, whether it be in your pocket or around your neck, and know that not only is that goofy guy Hucklefaery standing next to you, but he's got 10 million queer ancestors right behind him, and we've got your back spiritually. And we're waiting to meet you. Please give us the opportunity to meet you.